There are calls to break the Catholic seal of confession in Australia, so child abusers admitting their crimes to a priest are no longer protected. South Australia will become the first state to legally force clergy to report child sexual abuse, and Attorney-General Christian Porter wants the rest of the country to follow suit. Simon Creek from HHG Legal is here to talk us through how it would work. Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon, Tracy.
What exactly are the legal protections around the confessional right now?
Unlike every other state, in WA, priests can already be compelled to give evidence against someone who has confessed child sexual abuse or any form of abuse. But in every other state of the country, they are able to say, I'm a priest, that was a confessional, I don't have to tell you anything. What isn't in place in any part of Australia right now is the concept of mandatory reporting, and I think that's probably the biggest change coming up.
Okay, so as we mentioned there, South Australia, I should say, will be the first state to break the confessional seal when it comes to child abuse or admissions of child abuse. So how exactly will that work, considering they are the first state?
I think it's an enormous cultural and legal change, not just for the church, but for everybody associated with the church and parachurch organisations, in that you will no longer be able to go to confessional and unburden your soul, might we say, with any protection of that information not being passed on, but more so, you have to know that your priest is compelled to pass it on.
Okay, what other examples of religious exemptions or protections from the law are there in Australia right now, and is it becoming out of date?
I think certainly this is something that's well out of date, and I think the Attorney-General's certainly on the right approach. But the other big area involves money. It's tax concessions. It's what does not-for-profit status mean? It's this whole issue of why should religious bodies get funding when others don't. Personally, though, I think that's very different, because the concept of a religious body is very different to a specific denomination of the broader Christian church, and we are still a relatively religious or spiritual country, even if we're no longer a Christian country. So I would say interfering with the confessional privilege is going to be a winner with most people, that's my guess, but interfering with tax concessions is probably not going to happen.
Okay, we'll see if there are any further changes in the future. Simon Creek, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.